The lights dimmed in the vast auditorium of America's Got Talent. The audience buzzed with excitement as another hopeful contestant prepared to take the stage. It was one of those nights that felt electric. Every face, every heart, every breath seemed to hang in anticipation of what might happen next. Behind the curtains, a 12-year-old Filipino girl named Althea Cruz held her violin close to her chest. Her small hands trembled, not because of fear, but because this moment was something she had dreamed about since she was 6. The violin, polished and glowing under the backstage lights, was more than an instrument. It was a symbol of everything she had fought for: her late father's love, her mother's sacrifices, and the long days busking on the streets of Manila just to help buy new strings. "Are you ready, sweetheart?" asked one of the stagehands, noticing the child's quiet focus. Althea nodded. "Yes, sir," she whispered softly. "For my dad." She took a deep breath as the stage door opened. The roar of the crowd poured in, wrapping her in a wave of sound. She blinked under the blinding lights as she stepped forward, her violin in hand, her little shoes tapping lightly on the wooden floor of the world's biggest talent show stage. Simon Cowell leaned forward, curious. Heidi Klum gave a warm smile, and Sofia Vergara tilted her head, instantly charmed by the girl's delicate presence. Howie Mandel whispered to Simon, "She's tiny. She can barely hold that violin." Simon smirked. "Let's see what she's got." Althea reached the center of the stage and placed the violin under her chin. Her heart raced. Every muscle in her body told her to run, but she remembered her father's words before he passed away from cancer 2 years ago. Greater than, "If you ever get scared, play the first note. The music will take care of the rest." "Hello there," said Terry Crews from backstage, his voice echoing on the monitors. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Althea spoke softly into the microphone. "My name is Althea Cruz, and I'm 12 years old. I'm from the Philippines." The audience erupted in cheers, proud and supportive. A few Filipino flags waved in the crowd. Simon smiled slightly, tapping his pen. "Welcome, Althea, and what will you be doing for us tonight?" "I'll be playing the violin," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Simon nodded. "All right, let's hear it then." The lights dimmed again. A single spotlight centered on her. Althea closed her eyes, raised her bow, and began to play. The opening notes of Vivaldi's Winter filled the theater, sharp and precise. Her bow danced across the strings like silk. The audience immediately hushed. Her fingers moved with astonishing grace for someone so young, quick, fluid, exact. Even Simon's eyes widened a little. But it wasn't just technical skill, it was the emotion. Every note carried the ache of loss, the struggle of poverty, and the beauty of resilience. You could feel it in the way she leaned into the violin, eyes closed, as if she were pouring her entire soul into the sound. When she finished the first piece, the audience broke into thunderous applause. Sofia clapped with her mouth open. "Wow, she's amazing." Simon, however, leaned back, thoughtful. "That was impressive," he said, "but I can't help but feel, there's more to you, isn't there?" Althea smiled shyly. "Maybe," she said. Simon raised an eyebrow. "Maybe. What does that mean?" "I'd like to sing something," she said quietly, lowering the violin. The audience gasped. The judges exchanged glances. "Wait, so you play and sing?" Heidi asked, intrigued. Althea nodded. "Yes, ma'am, I want to sing a song my dad loved." Simon gestured with his hand. "Go ahead then. Surprise us." The stage crew quickly adjusted her microphone. A low hum of anticipation rippled through the crowd. Althea took another deep breath, closed her eyes, and began to sing, "You Are the Reason," by Callum Scott. From the very first note, time seemed to stop. Her voice, pure, angelic, and rich with emotion, floated through the hall like a warm current of air. It wasn't just a child singing, it was a story, a cry, a memory. Every word carried weight, every phrase trembled with sincerity. Greater than, I'd climb every mountain, and swim every ocean. The crowd was frozen. Simon Cowell's expression softened, his usual poker face fading into awe. Sofia put a hand to her chest. Heidi blinked back tears. Even Howie whispered, "Oh my God." Althea's voice soared higher, perfectly controlled, as if heaven itself had opened up to let this child sing through it. Her violin now rested against her side, forgotten. This was no longer a trick, it was transformation. As she reached the final chorus, the emotion in her voice cracked just slightly, and that imperfection made it real. It made it human. You could feel her father's presence in every word, the kind of love that never dies. "Greater than," 'Cause I need you to see, you are the reason." When the final note faded, the entire theater stood in silence for a moment, then erupted into a deafening standing ovation. People were crying. Some waved small Philippine flags. Others shouted her name. The camera zoomed in on Simon, who was visibly moved. His hand hovered near the golden buzzer. Tears streamed down Althea's face as she bowed. She wasn't expecting this. She wasn't expecting to touch so many hearts. Simon leaned toward his microphone. "Althea," he began softly, "you came out here, a tiny 12-year-old girl with a violin, and I thought, okay, another instrumental act. But then, you opened your mouth. And I have to say, what just happened was extraordinary." The crowd cheered louder. Heidi wiped her eyes. "That was so beautiful. You sing with so much emotion for someone your age. I could feel every word." Sophia nodded. "You have a gift, Althea. You made everyone here feel something deep." Howie leaned forward. "You didn't just perform, you told a story. I think your dad would be very, very proud of you." At that, Althea broke down in tears. The audience, awed, softly as Simon stood up. He looked at the other judges, then back at her. His voice cracked slightly. "You know what, Althea?" he said. "I think we've seen many great performances this season. But yours moved me. And when that happens," he looked up at the ceiling, then slammed his palm down on the golden buzzer. The entire stage exploded in gold confetti. The crowd screamed in joy. Althea gasped, covering her face with her hands as tears streamed down. Simon walked up to the stage, meeting her in a shower of glittering light. He knelt beside her and said quietly, "Your dad's watching. He's smiling right now." That line broke everyone. Terry Crews ran out, lifted Althea off the ground, and twirled her around as golden confetti rained like blessings. The judges stood, clapping and crying. Simon gave a rare smile, one of genuine admiration. Backstage, Althea's mother sobbed into her hands, whispering, "That's my baby, that's my baby." The cameras captured every second. The tears, the laughter, the moment a 12-year-old girl from the Philippines conquered the biggest stage in the world. The video went viral overnight. Within 24 hours, it had over 50 million views on YouTube. Comments poured in from around the world. Greater than, "This little girl just reminded me why music matters." From violin to vocals, goosebumps all the way through. Simon actually cried. That says everything. Filipinos are unstoppable when it comes to talent. In the Philippines, she became a national sensation. Schools played her audition during morning assemblies. Radio stations replayed her song. Even local news outlets ran headlines like, "Greater than, 12-year-old Filipino wins golden buzzer with heavenly voice." But Althea stayed humble. In interviews, she always said the same thing. "Greater than, I just wanted to make my dad proud." Weeks later, the AGT semifinals arrived. Backstage, Althea was now a familiar face. Contestants waved and smiled as she walked by. Yet she still carried that same old violin, the one with a small chip on the side, the one she had used to busk on the streets of Quezon City. Simon stopped her as she passed. "Hey, superstar," he said, smiling. "You ready to do it again?" She laughed softly. "I'll try my best." When she stepped out for her semifinals performance, the crowd went wild. This time, she began with her violin again, but halfway through, she surprised everyone by merging her playing and singing into one breathtaking act. She sang, "Never Enough," from The Greatest Showman, while simultaneously playing a haunting violin accompaniment. It was a technical feat even professionals struggled with, but Althea made it look effortless. Simon stood before she even finished. Heidi clutched her chest. Sophia mouthed, "Oh my God." The final note soared and dissolved into silence. The crowd erupted once more. Simon turned to the camera and said, "She's not just a musician. She's a miracle." Months later came the grand finale. The lights of Hollywood glowed in the distance as Althea waited backstage, wearing a white gown that shimmered under the lights. She held her violin, kissed it, and whispered, "For you, Papa." Her performance that night combined everything she had become, a musician, a singer, and a storyteller. She began with a soft violin intro to "A Million Dreams," before transitioning seamlessly into vocals. The entire audience swayed with her rhythm. When the song ended, there was no sound, only tears. Judges, audience members, even the cameramen looked stunned. It wasn't just a performance. It was art. Althea didn't win America's Got Talent that season, but she didn't need to. She won something far greater, the hearts of millions. After the show, Simon personally met with her and her mother backstage. "I'll tell you something," he said. "Winning or not doesn't matter. You're already a star, and I want to help you make your first album." Her mother burst into tears. Althea gasped, covering her mouth. It was a dream far bigger than the golden buzzer. Months later, Simon kept his word. Althea's first single, a heartfelt version of "You Are the Reason," featuring violin and vocals, was released on streaming platforms. Within days, it hit the global charts. Fans from all over sent her letters and messages. Some said her song helped them through grief. Others said it inspired them to pick up instruments again. Her story became a symbol of hope for children everywhere who dared to dream. Years passed. Althea continued her music career, performing worldwide, from London's Royal Albert Hall to the Sydney Opera House. But she never forgot where it began, a little girl, trembling on the AGT stage, holding her violin, daring to believe. Every year, on the anniversary of her father's passing, she performed in Manila. Thousands came to watch. At the end of every show, she played the same piece that started it all, Vivaldi's Winter. And then, as the last note faded, she would whisper into the microphone, "Greater than, for my dad." The crowd always fell silent, some crying, some smiling, everyone feeling that same spark she first brought to the AGT stage. Simon Cowell once said in an interview years later, "I'll never forget that little girl. She walked out with a violin, and changed everything. She reminded me what real talent looks like, what real heart sounds like. And somewhere, beyond the lights, beyond the applause, beyond the fame, there's a little girl's father, smiling in heaven, watching his daughter keep her promise." Because that's what Althea did. She didn't just trick the judges. She transformed them. And the world would never forget the moment when a 12-year-old Filipino girl walked on stage with a violin, and then opened her mouth. And the world stood still.